want to be a tsunami.
Sweep the shore by storm, by force, in a good way, of course. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I want to change the world. Come high like the king tide, no land too wide to make this force of nature subside. Watch me as my strength collides into this lost, cold world that needs me. I will start a revolution that feeds all of these starving people. I will save all people all over the world. Be on every TV, YouTube stream. You'll make t-shirts about me and all my deep philosophical quotes. One being, look out for that tsunami. This intro brought to you by real people who really said these things, really feel these things, and really have big dreams that all these things will really happen. See, you'd be surprised how normal it is to want to change the world, save the world for Christ, give up your whole life, clothe yourself in as much not of this world's gear as possible so it's evident day and night that you are a Bible geek, Jesus freak. Look out, world, you are sold out for Christ. But I want to tell you a story. There once was a man. He preached on the streets of San Francisco for over 20 years. His family lived in fear, but they kept pressing onward. He was assaulted, shot at, but never stopped preaching the gospel. But this story is not about him. Still, let me tell you more about him. This man led drug addicts, murderers, and prostitutes to the Lord day in and day out. He'd pray over someone, and 10 years later, they'd come back. A deacon in the church, an owner of a women's home, a father, a mother, a renewed soul. He's led more people to Christ than we will ever know. But this story is not about him. Still, the homeless all loved him, the beggars all knew him, and when outsiders would attack him, his homeless friends would defend him, protect him. But remember, this story is not about him. And I won't even tell you his name because the whole city of San Francisco already knows him. But what they don't know is another name. This name. Her name was Mrs. Lee, the wife of a dentist who practiced in Twin Peaks. And one day she was doing her chores, heard a knock at the door, and went to answer. And there was a man who asked if he could sell her a vacuum cleaner. And she bought it and then invited him in. She asked him about his life and found out that this man had been a heroin addict for 15 years. Gangbanger, thief, and pimp. Disrespected his girlfriend, disrespected his mother. This man was the worst of the worst. There were people on the streets who were out to kill him. But that day, in that apartment, she asked him if he wanted to change his life. And with a simple prayer and a salesman on one knee, he dedicated his life to Christ. And Mrs. Lee didn't know that 5 years later, he'd be the man leading hundreds of homeless to Christ. And Mrs. Lee didn't know that 30 years after that, I'd be telling you about how she saved my father's life. See, I don't know if Mrs. Lee ever led someone to the Lord before that time, and I don't know if she ever did after that, but I know she opened the door for this one man, this one time, and maybe God only asked her for that. And I know for every time my father receives a crown for leading someone to God, she in turn will be receiving one too. Everyone wants to be the next Billy Graham, but someone had to preach to Billy Graham too. Not all of us are going to run conventions. Not all of us are going to lead people to Christ by the hundreds, but I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Mrs. Lee. She is one of the most powerful people that's ever walked this earth to me because she saw potential where no one else did. Let a stranger into her house, a no good for nothing kid. And up until this point, no one has ever heard the powerful story of Mrs. Lee. But if I could aspire to be one person, she'd be the one person I'd want to be. God, with my whole heart, let my prayer be, I'll go wherever you want me to go. I don't care how close and I don't care how far. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll do whatever, no matter how small. I don't need to be a tsunami. Let me be a raindrop that falls unnoticeably in a vastly large ocean that causes a ripple, that causes another, until it's just a collection of circles that perhaps causes the waves to brush against the ankle of a small boy playing on the shore, asking God that he would send a wave and tickle between his toes once more. I don't need to be that wave. I will be a raindrop. Because God, it's you who makes the rain. God, it's you who sends the rain. And God, I know you use the raindrops to fill up the ocean.